Cancer, welcome to your monthly horoscope for February 2024. My name is Zadina. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and in this horoscope, I will be walking you through each week of the month, giving you a really good understanding of the major themes, topics, and energy that you will be navigating for the month of February. So let's get right into it. So, coming into the month, we have all planets direct. So, it is go time. It is time to start building, creating, and implementing whatever it is that you really truly want to bring into your reality for the year of 2024 and beyond. Now, we have Pluto back in Aquarius, which we had Pluto in Aquarius between March and June of 2023, giving us a little taste of what this Pluto in Aquarius energy was going to feel like, and really just a tiny taste. February is where we really get an idea of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring collectively and individually, because we have all of the personal planets entering Aquarius throughout the month of February and forming a conjunction to Pluto. Now, you have Aquarius in your eighth house of your partner's finances, money coming in from outside resources, taxes, inheritance, psychological healing and transformation, also death. It also has like this death and rebirth kind of type energy. The eighth house can also rule mental health. And so having Pluto in that eighth house is really going to be transforming this area of life. And in fact, this could have to do with you receiving, financial, oh my goodness, I'm getting tongue tied. You receiving money from outside resources, or this could have to do with your partner's finances. Sometimes things and activations that take place in our birth chart have nothing to do with us, but people and, situations or experiences in our life. And I'm sure for some of you, it will have to do with your partner's finances. And for some of you, it may have to do with some type of psychological healing and transformation. It really is going to show up for all of us differently. Now, on February 1st, at this point, we will still have Mercury in Capricorn. And so there's quite a lot of energy in your seventh and eighth house. You have Capricorn in the seventh house of relationships and one on one connections. So there is a lot of focus on relationships coming into February. And when we have Mercury forming a sextile to Neptune, I actually really like this because Mercury still being in Capricorn, which is allowing us to kind of stay grounded and not have our head too much in the clouds. We're able to utilize, this imaginative, creative kind of energetic flow, or even romance. Like having Mercury in your seventh house of relationships forming a sextile to Neptune, this could be, some opportunity for some romantic connection, a really deep romantic connection. So I really love that for you. And then on the 5th, we're going to have Mercury entering Aquarius and form a conjunction of Pluto. So Mercury rules your third house here of community, neighbors, neighborhood, communication, mindset, vehicles, local travel, and also your 12th house of spirituality, karma, things and places that are hidden, like things go to the 12th house to hide. This could also be, hospitals, asylums, retreat centers. The 12th house can also rule self-undoing and self-sabotaging behaviors. And so all of those themes and topics can really kind of be prominent at the time of the Mercury conjunction to Pluto. There might be some type of really deep spiritual transformation taking place, or even around mindset because of Mercury naturally ruling the mind and our thoughts and communication, but then also ruling your third house of the mind and mindset and communication. So there might be some type of deep transformation going on here around your mindset. This can, of course, also have to do with maybe your partner's finances because it is taking place in that eighth house. Or maybe, receiving some type of information with money coming in from outside resources in some way. On that same day, we're going to have Venus forming a square to Chiron. And Venus forming a square to Chiron, we know Chiron represents wounds and vulnerabilities. It's the wounded healer. And Venus ruling, and Venus is still going to be in your seventh house of relationships, and Venus naturally ruling relationships and our self love, self worth. There might be, and again, it can show up differently. I'm sure for some of you, it's going to show up as, some type of trigger of a wound within a relationship. Maybe somebody kind of poking at some old hurt or trauma. It can also show up as, something surfacing around lack of self-worth and self-love. And so I do want you all to keep in mind, though, that no matter what is showing up at this time, whenever we're talking about squares, this really brings in room for personal growth. So whatever is showing up at this time, if we work through it and we can heal in some way, we then can grow in, such amazing ways. And so keep that in mind when we have these squares that yes, they can bring up, some challenges, but it's opportunities for growth. Now we're also going to still be in that Saturn Jupiter square, or sorry, Saturn Jupiter sextile, which we've been in for a few weeks. And I do love this for opportunity for, again, building, creating, and growing something that can really be long lasting. And because Saturn is in Pisces, it's really being able to take the spiritual and energetics of ourselves and almost manifest it into physical reality. So, really taking care of our energy, frequency, and vibration at this time, we have the ability to truly manifest, something really beautiful and long lasting. Now, February 6th, we're going to have Venus forming a T square to the nodes. And when we have a T square to the nodes, well, first I want to touch on the nodes for a minute because you have the North node in your 10th house of career and public reputation, and the South node in your 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So already these areas of life are going through massive changes this year. The North node represents something new and a new direction, and the South node can represent either something from the past or a releasing and letting go of something. And so when Venus forms a T square to the nodes, there might be some tension here or something really coming to a head where you're having to make a choice. This could have to do with a relationship because Venus is still going to be in Capricorn in your 7th house. And it could be where maybe someone in your life is maybe stopping you from moving forward within a career. I'm sure it could show up in that way. But there is a choice here around home, family, property, and real estate, and career and public reputation, where this is where the tension kind of arises and it's wanting to go in two different directions, but you not being able to. There is a choice or a decision here that needs to be made. Now, on February 7th, we will have Venus forming a trine to Uranus. Now, I do love this because this can bring in, some type of really beautiful opportunity. Venus ruling your 11th house of friends, friendships, and social groups, and also Uranus being in that 11th house. There might be some type of very beautiful, unexpected journey or experience, situation, opportunity coming in around a friend or a friendship, maybe a friend becoming a partner or a friend becoming some type of like committed partnership. I mean, it could totally show up in that way. Venus also ruling your 4th house of home, family, and property. There might be something very unexpected, but it's a trine. So it's a very easy flowing energy. It's a positive aspect. So there could be something very, beautifully like a beautiful surprise almost. Venus trying to Uranus is like a beautiful surprise. And it could have, and because Venus rules, that 4th house and 11th house, it could have to do with something around home and family or friends and friendships and social groups. And because Venus is in that 7th house, it could have to do with relationships and one-on-one connections. Now, on February 8th, we'll have the sun forming a square to Uranus. And I always look at the sun square Uranus because the sun rules our consciousness and life force energy, and Uranus rules the electrical systems in our body. Sometimes this can be a day where we're just finding it very hard to stay in a high vibration. So, really kind of trying to do whatever it is you do, maybe earthing or eating healthy or yoga, doing that on this day might be key to kind of navigating this energy because it may just be a little challenging to kind of stay high vibing. I find it's kind of an up and down day energetically. Then on February 9th, we will have our new moon in Aquarius, and that new moon is going to be squaring Uranus. Now, the last few lunations we've had this year, Pluto is involved. When we had our new moon in Capricorn, that was our last new moon in Capricorn with Pluto. That was opposing your ascendant as well. That was in your 7th house. Now, when we had our full moon in Leo, that was opposing Pluto. That was our first full moon in Leo opposing Pluto. Now, this is our first new moon in Aquarius with Pluto. So we've had a lot of firsts and lasts, coming right in the gate 2024 when it has to do with Pluto in Aquarius and just Pluto energy in general. So this new moon in Aquarius is going to be in your 8th house of, again, maybe psychological healing and transformation, money coming in from outside resources, death, rebirth, your partner's finances. So this is a good time to set intentions. I'm not going to spend too much time discussing the new moons and full moons because I do post new and full moon horoscopes for all of the new moons and full moons on my YouTube channel. So make sure you check them out because I get into all 12 rising signs. But this is our first new moon with Pluto, and it's going to be squaring Uranus. And so in my horoscopes for the new and full moons, I always go into the chart. So I look at the charts for the new moons as how the intentions are going to manifest. And so the fact that this new moon is squaring Uranus shows that whatever intentions you're setting with this new moon, expect the unexpected. It's going to manifest in unexpected ways that could be a little disruptive and chaotic. So keep that in mind. Now, February 11th, we will have Mercury forming a square to Jupiter. So Mercury is going to be in your eighth house in Aquarius and squaring Jupiter in your 11th. Now, Jupiter rules your sixth house of work, health, and daily routine, and also your ninth house of higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel. So you may be getting, there could be information at this time or having a conversation around your work, health, and daily routine that might not be as pleasant. That could feel a little defeating. Maybe you're feeling less optimistic because it's Jupiter. So this could be a day where another way this energy could kind of show up too, which I was saying to some of the other signs, is like being bombarded with too much information, and not knowing kind of how to process it. So we do want to be mindful of that, and that could be, a collective kind of theme we can see with the Mercury square to Jupiter. Now, February 11th is when we start our North Node Chiron conjunction, which is going to last for 2 weeks. And that is right here in your 10th house. This is in Aries. So collectively, we're going to see this, for sure in our own individual lives. This is where there can be some type of beautiful opportunity coming in for some internal growth and healing. The North Node representing a direction we're moving into and something new, and Chiron representing the wounded healer. There's something here that could be triggered or activated that may be something you've been struggling with for a long time, and there's opportunity for growth and transformation. Now, once we get into the second week of February, on the 13th, we're going to have Mars enter Aquarius and form a conjunction of Pluto. And this is when things can become a little volatile, especially collectively. And I'll be getting into this in the collective forecast for February. Now, Mars rules your 10th house of career and public reputation, and is also the co-ruler of your 5th house of romance. Romance, creativity, children, hobbies, and interests. So there might be something showing up around those themes and topics, possibly career, possibly public reputation, and then maybe even romantic connection could be a thing. This can also, of course, show up with those eighth house themes and topics as well. But Mars ruling anger, aggression, and conflict, also separation and severing, this is like two really powerful planets coming together. These energies are mixing up. It's like, it can feel quite intense and volatile. So we do want to be, mindful of that. And also at the same time, we will have Venus forming a sextile to Neptune. And so at this point, Venus is still going to be in Capricorn. So I do love this because this is able to kind of keep us more grounded. Venus being in Capricorn, we're not necessarily going to have our head in the clouds. We're able to kind of move forward with, it could be, a romantic connection for sure, because Venus is going to be in your 7th house. This could be more of that kind of whatever maybe was started with the Mercury sextile to Neptune, maybe, starting to communicate with someone at that point. And then with the Venus sextile to Neptune, now the connection's like kind of forming. It could definitely show up in that way. And then on the 14th, we will have Saturn. So Saturn and Jupiter are having this kind of dance, right? They've moved quite a couple of degrees, and this is when they kind of become closer again at the next degree point. But again, this is an energy we've been in for about a month now at this point. And then on the 16th, now also too, I just want to mention, because you have Saturn in your 9th house of higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel, philosophy, religion, teaching. So Saturn is, transforming this area of your life in some way over the next year, possibly making you become a little bit more responsible in this area of life. Saturn can also bring delays. So if you're trying to move forward, with something that has to do with this area of life, maybe going back to school or teaching something, Saturn can bring delays too. So I did just want to mention that because this is my first horoscope of the year, and having Saturn in that ninth house for the entire year of 2024, Saturn will be, kind of changing this area of your life. Now, on the 16th, Venus is going to enter Aquarius and form a conjunction of Pluto. So, this is the third personal planet. Now entering Aquarius, forming a conjunction to Pluto. So, we have so much eighth house energy at this point. So, there's a lot of focus here on, mental health, possibly, maybe your partner's finances, maybe money coming in from outside resources, maybe mental health, psychological healing and transformation. So, there could be a lot more with that. Venus, again, ruling that 11th and 4th house. There could be something showing up around that with this Venus ingress to Aquarius in conjunction to Pluto. Now, on the 16th, we will also have Mercury squaring Uranus. And so Mercury is going to be in Aquarius, where we have all of these ideas and innovations coming in. Mercury and Mercury and Aquarius is, lots of information, lots of ideas. And squaring Uranus, again, this can be like an overwhelming of information or an overwhelming of ideas and not able to kind of pinpoint something or focus. This is definitely could be a little challenging for like focusing in on something. So we could feel a little anxious on this day with the Mercury square to Uranus. And then on February 18th, we will have the sun entering Pisces. And so we want to also keep in mind that through Pisces season, we have Saturn. So just like through, Aquarius season, we now have Pluto, we have Saturn in Pisces now as well. So it's going to feel a little different. It can feel a little restricted. Once we get to the third week of February, on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, we will have Venus and Mars kind of dancing together from 5 to 7 degrees. On the 22nd is when the Venus Mars conjunction becomes exact. Now, the interesting thing about this is I think that collectively, this is, and I'll talk about this in my collective forecast, but I think this is when we might see some protests and possibly riots. Because Aquarius rules the people, collective, humanity, and we actually had the Venus Mars conjunction in Capricorn when we had the trucker convoy in Canada. So I do think there's going to be something here around protests, excuse me, at this point. But for you, I mean, this could mean some type of, I do like this for one-on-one connections, just naturally the masculine, the feminine coming together. Now, once we get to the 23rd, we'll have Mercury entering Pisces. So we start to have all this energy in Aquarius, then enter Pisces. So Mercury entering Pisces, bringing more focus to that ninth house of higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel, philosophy, religion, belief systems. And that's another thing too with Saturn in the ninth too, so that could be completely just shifting and changing your belief systems in some way. Now, on the 24th, we'll have the full moon in Virgo at 5 degrees. And you have Virgo in your third house of community, neighbors, neighborhood, vehicles, mindset, communication. So if you think back 6 months prior, what intentions did you set at the time of the new moon in Virgo? You can see those intentions come to fruition. I will also be posting a forecast going into this energy as well. Now, on that same day, we will have Venus forming a square to Jupiter. So Venus is going to be in Aquarius, forming a square to Jupiter. So this could be, again, some feeling very overwhelmed with something, very overwhelmed like mentally on this day. So we do want to be mindful of that, especially with the full moon being in your third house of, mind, communication, thoughts, thought processing. This can be a day of just feeling very mentally kind of overwhelmed is what I'm feeling really strong with that. Now, once we get to week 4, on the 26th, we will have Mars forming a square to Jupiter. And this is really going to be interesting because I think this is where we'll see a lot collectively on the worldwide stage. Now, for you, this is where something can show up around career and public reputation that you're having to address. Also, Mars being in that eighth house, this can be very psychological for you. This could have to do with money coming in from outside resources. This could have to do with your partner's finances. Jupiter also ruling that sixth house too of work, health, and daily routine. I mean, yeah, like Jupiter ruling that sixth house of work, health, and daily routine, and then Mars ruling the 10th house of career. I mean, this could really bring up something around work. Like maybe you're really overwhelmed at work at this time. You just have so much going on and it's kind of bogging you down mentally, with that kind of taking place in the eighth house. Could definitely, show up in that way. Now, once we get to the 27th, so the 27th and the 28th is interesting because we have the Mercury Cazimi, but we also have Saturn involved. Um, so Mercury Cazinis usually bring on this like sudden inspiration or insight, which I love. But then with Saturn, it's like this confusion on how to implement it. I mean, it could be a good thing or it could be a challenging thing. And I'm sure it's going to be a mixed bag for everyone. It could bring delays, it could bring some type of challenge or restriction, but it could also bring in like an understanding on how to implement something in a very foundational, structural way. I hope that made sense. Um, how to build kind of build something sustainable is what I'm really feeling. So not only are you getting the inspiration and ideas, but you're also getting the how to do this and create and build. I hope that makes sense because that's what I'm feeling kind of like intuitively as well. Now, on the 29th, we will have Mercury form a sextile to Jupiter and the Sun form a sextile to Jupiter. So this is bringing in really beautiful opportunity for expansion in some way. And this could really have to do with something around your belief systems because it is taking place in that ninth house. It could even have to do with teaching. It could have to do with going back to school in some way. And then Jupiter being that 11th, it could have to do with friends, friendships, online connections, networking. There really is a beautiful, or even, teaching something online. I'm sure it can show up for some of you like that as well, and I'm sure it will. But I really do love this for supportive energy and opportunity for some type of, mental growth and even uh, like spiritual growth because it's all in Pisces, but expanding like your consciousness as well. So I hope that all makes sense. But thank you, Cancer, so much for joining me. I hope this helps you navigate the energy for February. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like my content and align with my energy, and I will connect with you in the next one.